Call halal Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS. Salutations to the Akim and the Akwath, the Confusion of Face. Brothers that are joined unto our ranks, that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, to the hopeful elect. To you I say Shalom. This is just another video edifying the body and exposing Esau, Edom, the enemy of Israel, all right, who are actually claiming to be Israel, okay, and how they operate. And this video is about them taking Hawaii away from the native Japhetic people who live there, who actually are the original and the real Greeks who were pushed out of that land, all right? And I imagine that this is just one of those places that they fled to, fleeing that Edomite persecution from Alexander when they were taking over, the different lands of Greece. Well, let's let it ride.
This is the Hawaii most visitors never see. An hour from the luxury hotels and shops in the farthest corner away from Honolulu. It's the Hawaiians' Hawaii, working class and proudly native, where locals will tell you Hawaii is occupied by the U.S., that it has been for 124 years, and that it'll one day be free. We came here to see the native sovereignty movement in action. We are driving through Waimanalo, which is a stronghold of the sovereignty movement here in Hawaii, and we're headed to a village in the hills that was established by a sovereignty group called the Nation of Hawaii. The village is called Refuge of Waimanalo, with a population of roughly 80. The state handed the group 45 acres of land in the 90s after it occupied a popular beach for over a year. Bumpy Kanahele is the group's leader and head of the village. Do you have your own passport here in the Nation of Hawaii?
We have things ready to print out for the passports.
Can I apply for one? They are banning Muslims in the U.S.
We're taking in citizenship applications now, so any of you disgruntled Americans want to come on by, come to Hawaii, come visit us in Oahu, and we'll be more than happy to accommodate you.
All right, so, the so-called white man gives reparations to the people of the other nations, but no such thing. Because there's nothing in history. You'll see the Holocaust push with great vigor. All right. But when you actually do your research, there's a lot of things that a lot of the math don't add up. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of corruption in the stories, and a lot of things aren't panning out when you actually do your research. But if you speak against it, just pointing out some facts of some obvious discrepancies in the stories, you get labeled as anti-Semitic or terrorist or something worse, just for pointing out that something's not adding up. All right. But yet, the worst crime in history, the biggest genocide and rape, robbery, and murder to ever happen was what happened to the Americas. All right. You had hundreds of millions of Native Americans that were exterminated, relocated, bred out, their lands taken, and other people profited from that. Then you had hundreds of millions of so-called Negroes who were brought here to work that land for free. All right. And millions, it's estimated over 100 million died just on the way over here. All right. And who knows how many millions of natives died on their way out of here on those same said cargo slave ships. That's that book, The Other Slave Trade. The natives were taken into slavery right along with the Negroes and shipped and sold all over the world and put on auctioning blocks right along with so-called Negroes, making them also fulfill the prophecies. But you got people who have an issue with the color of flesh and not acknowledging that natives and Negroes were actually considered the same. When you go back far enough, in the 1500s, they were labeled the same thing, and they actually looked a lot alike. You have to understand that both in North and South America, the natives were just as dark as Negroes in a lot of cases. All right. They've been lightened up over the centuries because of so much rape and robbery and inbreeding. Inbreeding with the Edomites, and then inbreeding with those children that came from those unions. All right, from the forced unions, because a lot of women were raped by the Edomites, and then they had children who had Edomite features, and then those children married, and there you go. It's really not that difficult to understand, but you just find it how let's look at the what happened with the Koreans. I think it was in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, or the 70s. It's been a long time since I've spoken on this, but I am aware that it was either in the 80s or the 70s. I'm not 100% sure, but they brought over Korean families and they gave them house, a home, and then they gave them $10,000 in the bank to start after what they did to the Koreas, right? And they did similar things with Japan. They rebuilt Japan. So, but the atrocities that were done to the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, there's never been any payment for it. All right. So this is Nahum 3:10. It said, Salakia, Nahum 3:1. It says, "Woe to the bloody city, is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not." So the prey, the prey is still here, man. All right, and they're still profiting. But this video is just exposing you yet more how the so-called white man still operates in the same manner, even up until this day. Okay? Because Hawaii is prime real estate, or has been, but the Most High is going to make it uninhabitable. So it seems, the way these volcanoes and things keep happening, and the fact of the matter that they have a cancer among them, which is a so-called white man. He's devastating. I can only imagine how filthy the water and the jungles and the things are, and the things there with their presence, because that's what they do. Wherever they go, they destroy life, from human life to organic life.
And learn about us, though, our history.
And for Native Hawaiians, it's a painful history. In 1893, armed U.S. naval forces helped American sugar plantation owners overthrow Hawaii's queen. The provisional government that was set up after ceded Hawaii's sovereignty to the U.S. Then it embarked on a campaign to squash Native culture.
To squash Native culture. Now, if you're looking at a man with a Trojan headdress. All right? When I tell you that that they're Japhetic, they were original Greeks. Not to mention that the way they build their huts were the same way that they were built in the land of Greece as well. All right? This was a part of their culture. You see the arrow, the headdress that the guy is wearing. Let's take it back a little bit.
That was set up after ceded Hawaii's sovereignty to the U.S. Then it embarked on a campaign to squash Native culture.
There you go. He's wearing that headdress that you're so familiar with seeing the Greeks and the Romans wearing. That wasn't their culture. That was these people's culture. And they took it. Right? And it said that the Navy helped them to do this over 100 something years ago. This is Habakkuk 2:12, and it reads, "Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity." So because of they committed genocide and killed a lot of them to take this land, man. They just didn't roll over. They just were overpowered by the Navy, by the military. All right. Woe to him that giveth his neighbor drink, and putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, and thou mayest look upon their nakedness. And that's what the so-called white man does, man. He gives you drink. All right. And that drink is his philosophies. All right. But if you just start searching the internet, man, you'll find that there's a lot of hatred for the so-called white man by these people on the screen, man. And they violently want to take their land back, man.
What's one word you would use to describe what happened here in 1893?
Genocide. That was their intent, to make life hard for us in such a way it would cause our own destruction. And that's what happened. It's still happening. It's more passive. It's like genocide in paradise.
It's made official.
Genocide in paradise, man. All right? Genocide in paradise. The so-called white man, it has a lot of blood on his hands, man. A lot of blood. This is Habakkuk 2:6. And it reads, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And the so-called white man, he's built up that which is not his all over the world by force. All right. He said, let our power, be our might and make us right, basically. And so he had the power to take your things, manifest destiny. Then that made it right. Truth of the matter, it was his destiny to take America and to take the world. Because Job 9:24 clearly reads that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right. And then he covered up the faces of the judges thereof. And we could, even though these people aren't a judge, but let's just go back a little bit. He definitely covered up the face of the Greeks, of the sons of Japhet,
sovereignty
and
to
called
the West.
himself Japhet.
Then it embarked on a
Right.
campaign to squash native culture.
There it is. You can clearly see that he's wearing the ancient Grecian headdress. Why would a Hawaiian be wearing that part of their cultural celebration? Because it's truly their culture. Right? It's their culture, not the so-called white man's. So with that, I hope this was a edifying lesson. All right, because the time has come, man, that the so-called white man is being exposed and he's going down. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Abishai, Bahashim Bakar Kadash, and Abba Babal.